Well, today is cruise day for a redo of the MSC Seashore. We're super excited. It was beautiful yesterday. We spent the day at the pool. We got in early to Orlando. And I want to put a shout out to the hotel that we're staying at because this is a great night before hotel. It's the Doubletree. It's right by the airport. Now, remember, you will have a 45-minute drive to Port Canaveral in the morning, but we found that the hotels that were located right by the port were really expensive in comparison. But I want to bring it up because it's a great hotel. It has a restaurant, it has a bar, it has a really nice pool with cabanas if you like to be in the shade. The temperature of the water was wonderful. We had a great meal yesterday, just simple, basic, got a gyro and a Cuban sandwich with fries, and it was really good. This morning, there's a Starbucks in the lobby, so we ended up getting some coffee. We didn't have to go anywhere to get coffee. It was wonderful. So now we're going to start our commute to Port Canaveral so we can get on the seashore for a redo. I can't wait to see if things have improved from the last time. Let's get started. Let's get on our way to Port Canaveral, and we'll see you at the port. That turned out to be a great trip, and I'm happy to report that there were several improvements made. I also want to add that we were on the same ship, the MSC Seashore, 2 times, but it was also the same exact cruise and itinerary. While there were improvements, there were still things that I believe could be improved, and I'm going to go over those as well. But let's start with the very beginning of the cruise, or actually before we even got on the cruise ship, we booked a guaranteed inside room, and within one day we were immediately upgraded to a balcony. The price was amazing, and MSC is one of the only cruise lines I know that does this on a typical basis. So this is not necessarily an improvement, as they were doing this on our last cruise. I wanted to add this because it was definitely a positive attribute to get this cruise started. Next, positive change was Embarkation. We arrived at the port at 10:50 a.m. and there seemed to be a short line outside. So we were a little bit nervous, since everybody wasn't going up the escalator all at once, that we were going to get up there to a room full of people. And that just wasn't the case. I want to say, from being outside, getting into the port, and through the check-in process and walking onto the ship was no more than 15 minutes. I was shocked that they were ready for us to get on board. They weren't still getting the last guests off the ship, and that was extremely impressive and a great start to our cruise. Next, which was also in the beginning, is the muster drill. On the last Seashore cruise, the muster drill was terrible. You had to go into your room at a specific time, everybody into their cabins, wait for an announcement. Then you had to watch a video, and when the video was over, you had to call a number to verify that you watched the video, and at that time, you had to go to your muster station. But this time, they have changed it now to mimic more of what the other cruise lines are doing, where you can check into your muster station right when you get on board. You watch the video in the room right away if you would like, and you call the number to verify you watched the video, and you're done. This is a process we believe is informative and reasonable. Most other cruise lines are doing it. We were so pleased that MSC implemented this procedure for the muster drill. Next, I don't know if this is a change or if it was just as good last time, but the buffet. We went to the buffet on Embarkation Day, and there was just a large variety of food. Now, we all know the MSC pizza is top notch, which it was. There was a great variety of foods, and all were very good quality. We really enjoyed what we ate. Next is another one that might not be a change, because it could have been this way all along, but it's definitely a positive attribute I wanted to add, is the main dining room is open on port days. That is extremely rare. Most cruise lines will have the main dining room only open on sea days, and that means If it is a port day, often the only other option is the buffet. Now, while I did mention MSC Seashore has great buffet food, we often try to avoid the buffet just because it gets extremely busy and, I don't know, sometimes annoying having to navigate around and get through people to get your food. It was a pleasant surprise that we could have some main dining room lunches on port day. The food was good, and I wish more cruise lines would offer this option, so MSC for the win on this one. All right, let's go to the very end of the cruise, disembarkation. It's hard to remember which was worse, embarkation or disembarkation on our last cruise. But on this one, both were amazing. We tried to wait till the very end to get off the ship because we had a later flight and thought when we did walk off early that maybe that was a bad option because everybody seemed to do it. But they also made you walk all the way from the front of the ship to the back of the ship and circle around to where you started, which took a really long time. So we waited to see if this was going to work out better if we waited until the end. The line that they took us through was a quarter of the length. They didn't have us walk through the theater. It was just kind of up and down a few aisles, and we were right off the ship. So we were really impressed that they figured it out, that you don't have to track people all over the place and it only makes everything take longer. They shortened it, and I think that's why the last cruise group got off efficiently, also making it so that we could embark right on time and in a very fast manner. So 2 things that can be really off-putting for a cruise are difficult embarkation and disembarkation, and they fixed it. Okay, unfortunately, we have to talk about some of the difficulties that still remain on the MSC Seashore. So let's start with Ocean Key. Ocean Key has several tiki bars throughout the island, and your drink package, if you purchase one for your cruise, also works on the beautiful island that we do love. But there always seems to be difficulty when it comes to the bars. They have a menu of drink options, and often they don't have what's on the menu. Several people tried ordering mudslides, and they looked confused, and she's like, oh, they're on the menu right here. And they'd look at the menu like, yeah, no, we don't have that. They have only a few wines on the menu, but if I picked a specific one that was listed on there at one bar, they're like, nope, we don't have that. Found it at a different bar. It was maybe 100 feet away, which wasn't a big deal, but I think if you're gonna put it on a menu, you should have it available. And I get that sometimes you're gonna run out of stock and deliveries can be behind, and we all know things happen. This was our 3rd time now on Ocean Key where you couldn't get several of the menu items on their bar menu. Also, this is a complaint that I've been hearing on YouTube, and they are charging for umbrellas. So it's kind of just weird. They have umbrellas just everywhere on the beach chairs. And while MSC owns this island, it's their island and their ship brings you there. When you get off, you have to rent one of the umbrellas from them, which is definitely different than any of the other cruise lines do with their private island. So I can see why people would be off put about this. As I mentioned, there were tons of umbrellas out there, but they were like $30. If you bought it in advance, I'm pretty sure I saw on the app you could get one for $19, but I don't know. Paying for the umbrella is just kind of a weird thing. They're already there. Just let the guests use them. We got lucky and we found our own little free shady area, also with sun right by the water. So I'll be sharing that in an upcoming video. So at this point, I would ask you to subscribe to my channel so you're notified as I post future videos, and especially ones from this series. Okay, next, the towel exchange is still just as inconvenient and annoying. You get 2 beach towels in your room that you can take with you to the pool or the beach, but the only way to get new dry towels is to bring them to one specific towel exchange near the pool, and this is the main pool. So if you want to spend time at the indoor pool or the kids water park or the infinity pool on the very aft of the ship, there are no towel exchanges at those areas. Or they said you can exchange through your room steward who's not just waiting near your room to exchange them. So that is not convenient as well. So I would say, unless people are really stealing a lot of MSC towels, which may be the case, figure out a better procedure for that. Okay, something MSC is known for is eliminating paper. There are no dailies that come to your room at all. Bars and the restaurants, they don't want to give you paper menus. They want you to scan QR codes. But the problem with this is often the QR code didn't go to the right link. And if there were things that you wanted to check on the app, like the dailies to see what's going on, or if you want to find out what bars and restaurants are open, sometimes the app wasn't working or it wouldn't load. And there was no backup for that. But honestly, I still like paper menus. I think for many people on vacation, they don't want to be tied so closely to their phones if they don't have to. And there's just something nice about having paper menus to look at when you're at a restaurant or a bar. Speaking of a restaurant or a bar, another negative, we purchased a 3-meal dining package, which has changed because when we purchased it the last time, if you purchased a 3-meal package, you could go to any 3 restaurants that you wanted. The only stipulation was you couldn't go to Butcher's Cut twice. But this time the 3 restaurants were picked out for you, and we just didn't like the lack of flexibility. One of those restaurants was Butcher's Cut Steakhouse. And while I remember that it was very good last time, this time we did not really enjoy it at all. And we actually had 2 reservations there. So we were even leery on returning. I got the strip steak, which was extremely grizzly and full of muscle. I mean, I really couldn't chew much of it. So they graciously, because they do come through with service and check on you and make sure that your meal is to your standard, and were quickly able to switch it for me and brought me a filet, which I appreciated. And the filet came out quite fast, which made me believe that they took someone else's that they were cooking, which was nice to try to be so efficient. Not so nice for the other person that had to wait, but that was great. The filet was fine, but the sides were just average. And to me, that's part of the experience. There was mac and cheese that was just very bland, and I heard that comment from several other cruisers. And then we also had the onion rings, which again were fine, but they were just very thickly breaded. And overall, it was just an average meal that I think we could have did better, or the same if we would have just ordered the prime rib at the main dining room on the first night instead of paying extra for Butcher's Cut. I will say though, when we went for our second dinner at the end of the cruise, it was much better. When I ordered the lamb chops, we also ordered different sides. I got the smoky tomato soup that came with these little mini grilled cheeses to dip. It was very, very good. So I guess with everything, it can be hit or miss, and it could have just been the cut of the steak that I had, but I still wanted to mention it. So next, the drink package that we had is the one that you can book with your room, which is the Easy Plus package. And that covers all alcoholic drinks up to $10. Typically, if you buy a drink that is over $10, you would pay the difference. And every so often I would do that because there would be a wine or a cocktail that I wanted to try that might be like $13. Well, this time my husband got a glass of wine at the casino bar, and he mentioned that it would be an upcharge. My husband agreed to it. We didn't get a receipt, which is probably the first problem because we'd know exactly what we were charged right when we're charged it. But when I looked at my onboard account the next day, I saw that I was charged the full amount for the drink. We did proceed to go to guest services to have it fixed, to where she responded to me, not all drinks are the difference, some are the full price. She said she would see what she could do about the charge, but I did find at any and all bars that I went to later where I ordered an upcharged wine, they only charged me the difference. And to some bartenders, I even mentioned what happened to me, and they were like,
No, that was not how it was supposed to happen.
But I did learn my lesson and requested a receipt every time I ordered an upgraded cocktail. But my suggestion is make a policy and make sure everybody knows what it is. And last, while the staff, they do try their best, I think it's an issue with MSC not staffing appropriately. It always just seemed like there weren't many people working behind the bars for how many guests were there and people were in line. So it made service really, really slow. Just to get coffee in the morning, we would allot a half hour. And a half hour just is a long time just to get a simple Americano. The staff worked really hard and they were hustling. So I'm not at all saying that they were slow or not good at their jobs, but I think MSC has to appropriately staff because I hear this a lot about slow service at the different venues. Now, we didn't have many meals in the main dining room, but the ones that we did, the service was great. We had no problems. It was just at the various bars. And we've learned a strategy of finding the bars that are kind of off the beaten path that most people don't want to spend, or most people aren't spending time at. And, you know, you always want to avoid the pool bar because it's always the busiest bar. So it's not even as if we would spend time at the busiest bars. We would try to find the ones that would be in more of an inconspicuous area. So maybe just try to staff a little bit better. Well, that is my list of what has improved and things that have stayed the same on the MSC Seashore. Leave your comments below what your experience was because I know they're going to be all over the board. They always are. But I'm always appreciating your feedback. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you on the next one.